Oh yeah. You guys know what's going on here. I think it's time for a new slip yoke, a bushing, and a seal. Let's get to it. Alright, first order of business, of course, is to get the rear drive shaft off of here. It's always fun. Alright, so after fighting that for a minute, I jacked the truck up just a little bit. Get the wheels off the ground so we can rotate this. Maybe that'll make things just a little easier. Maybe. But then again, I don't know, maybe not. There we go. A little bit of lash there, isn't there? Quite a bit, actually. There we go. Alright, now maybe we can get on it with this. Turn these out a little quicker. So we'll just pull that one. Let's not lose that screw. Roll this back around, pull this other one out here. You can see on the diff here, this has been leaking oil for a long time and just peppering the bottom of this truck. So I'm getting tired of the mess in the driveway. I'm getting really tired of having to put oil in the transfer case all the time because I don't want to ruin that. I have to get a better pry bar than that. So I decided now's the time to do something about it. I hate messes in the driveway anyway. Oh man alive, that's really stuck in there. They're not usually this tight. Especially when you just had it out not that long ago. Oh, it's nuts. That's not good. I lost some of my needles out of there. Gonna have to clean those all up. Oh, the cap was holding it. No wonder it wouldn't come out. We might get a little oil out of the back end of that transfer case when I pull this out. It's possible. Oh, I shouldn't get a lot. But we'll definitely get some. That's pretty typical. Loose. There it goes. Yeah, we'll lose a little transfer case oil out of there. That's okay. There it goes. That's our housing. We'll have to clean up this bearing surface or this sealing surface here. Make sure we get all this crap out of there. Got a lot of cleanup to do here. That's okay. All right, so there you go. We got that. The cone off the back of our transfer case, and we're going to have to replace this seal, so we're going to go ahead and knock it out of there. And then right behind the seal there is a bushing, and I don't know if you guys can see that down in there, but we've got a new bushing. We're going to go ahead and change the bushing as well. Alright, so I usually just find myself a socket here that'll fit just the inside. You can see this here. That's where the bushing is. We want to knock that out and put a new one in there. So try to find a socket that'll just catch the bushing and not the housing. I would rather use a brass hammer. I had it earlier, as you guys seen, but for whatever reason, oh hey, it's probably in camera view. Look at that, right here on the floor. I'd rather use a brass hammer. That way I don't bugger up the socket. So see if we can knock this out of here. All right, there is the bushing. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but there is definitely some wear in it. You can see it right here. There's quite a bit of wear here. It's not crazy bad. When I slid it over the yoke, I didn't feel a ton of play, to be honest. I feel like it could have been a lot worse. There's a little play there, but you got to have some, right? This is actually spinning inside of this. All right, I'm going to take this over to the parts washer, scrape all this mud off of that thing first, and then clean it all up in the parts washer, get rid of all this schmoo that's all over it. And then we'll be back. So to give you guys an idea, side-by-side comparison here of what we're looking at, let's really see the difference here, how much shinier this one is. And I can actually tell this groove here feels a lot deeper, where this one's a lot more shallow. I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera or not. That could be the way they're made. This one's probably original. This is probably aftermarket. You know, make sure that the diameters are indeed the same. It looks like we're in pretty good shape there. So both edges here are rounded, so you can go in either direction. There's not really a side that it needs to go in versus one versus the other, you know. So definitely want to be careful getting this started. Get it in there nice and straight. I do believe it would be pretty easy to bugger this up on this edge if we're not careful. And actually, oh okay, that's where it's, look at that. I guess the old one was welded together here too. But this one here actually has a splice here where it's spliced together. That's odd. I mean, I suppose it was a rolled piece of metal. It had to go together one way or another, didn't it? So they had to have a splice somewhere, but I think that's pretty darn good. Maybe just a hair over here. Yeah, there it goes. All right, so this is the new one. Let's see how that slides in there. Should slide nice and smooth. Yeah, just like that. So that's what we're looking for. There's a little bit of play there. You gotta remember that is also going to be on the tail shaft of the transfer case as well. So I think you're always going to have a little bit of play. So obviously too much and then you have seal issues. So we don't want that. So given the fact that I've had so many issues with this thing leaking in the past, I think against my better judgment, I'm going to put a little bit of RTV on here, just a tiny little bit. You can see this edge isn't exactly perfect all the way around here. There's been so many seals driven in here and pulled out of here because of the same problem that continues to persist. So if there are any imperfections in this, that RTV should fill those in and should help plug up any potential leaks that could be coming around the outside of the seal. There you go. One tail shaft complete, cleaned up, new seal, new bushing, ready to go back in the truck. But we got to go clean up that mess underneath there first. Well, folks, we got the cone back on, got the bolts all tightened back up, the new seal in it. I'm going to go ahead and try to clean this mess up a little bit underneath here with some brake clean, but it's just not really cutting it the way I wanted. So I think what I'm going to do is slide the yoke back in here, shove the truck outside. We're going to crawl up underneath here with the pressure washer and get real close and intimate with this and clean up this greasy mess. Got the drive shaft out of the truck. Looking at the slip yoke on this end here. And I know it's going to be hard for you guys to see here. So we had a terrible leak on this truck coming out of the rear of the transfer case. You've seen it there at the beginning of the video. And it's really hard to tell. This slip yoke looks good, except for right here. There's a spot, and I don't know if you guys can see that. It's probably going to be really hard to tell, but there's a little line here that I can catch my fingernail on. And I believe we've put several seals in this transfer case, probably 3 of them to be honest, and every single one of them have leaked, you know, within 50 miles of driving the truck. So I'm pretty well of the thought process that this slip yoke, this is even a different slip yoke. This is not the original one to the truck. The original one to the truck was a lot worse than this. But I'm of the thought process that this edge here that I can catch my finger on is enough that it's damaging the seal when this goes in and out of the truck. As you run over, you know, uneven ground, driving through a field, out the edge of a road, whatever, this slip yoke goes in and out, hence the term slip yoke, right? So I believe that's what's taking our seal out of the back end of the transfer case. Put you on time lapse while I get this all knocked apart, and then when we get it all ready to go back together, we'll show you what the new slip yoke looks like. So there we go. We've got the old slip yoke off the drive shaft, just like so. I know you can do this in a press. I've got a press over there. I certainly could have done that, but that's a lot of messing around too. You got to hold this long drive shaft up and all that while you're farting around with the press. So I just find it easier to just pound them in and out like that. Use a brass hammer and or a brass rod like that, and makes it pretty simple. So we got to make sure that we get the right amount of splines for our slip yoke. Here's your part number for this slip yoke here. I went with the Genuine GM. It's a Spicer. slip yoke. I don't want to take a chance on, you know, something from
China,
and having it not be right. So we've had enough issues with this. We've sprayed enough transmission fluid and oil all over the bottom of the truck. So I don't want to take a chance on this project going south and us not having the right stuff. So that's the one I went with, GM part number 124-77704. That'll get you the genuine GM one. Not cheap. The sucker cost, I believe, around 300 bucks, maybe a little more. It's a crazy amount of money when you look at, you know, the tiny amount of defect here. If you were good at welding, you could probably weld this and turn it down in a lathe and avoid this cost. You could probably do that if you wanted to and you had the time and effort to put into it. I just want it to work. I'm tired of the mess. I don't want to screw with it. So we went with a new one. So real quick, on these here, you have to count the amount of splines, all right? There are different spline counts for different transfer cases. So what I did was start here. You see how there's like one spline missing on here, and that's the way it's manufactured. You can only really put it in the transfer case in one direction. So you can't put it in any other way. It has to be orientated with that gap that's in this slip yoke that has to match up to the transfer case shaft, output shaft. So I just counted each one of these bumps all the way around here to figure out how many splines I had. Okay, so this is a 31 spline slip yoke. So for this transfer case, 31 splines are what we got to have. For around 300 bucks, you do get a couple of keepers here, and you do get a new universal, I would hope. One thing that troubles me, this universal that comes on this expensive slip yoke is non-greasable. So that's a little troubling to me, but let's be honest. How many times do we climb underneath there and put grease in it? Some guys will probably say, I do every year. And if you do, good for you. I can tell you, it's one of those things I think about, but I never actually crawl under there and do. So you can see this here is nice and smooth, really smooth. So that's what we're going for on ultimately. So this one should, quote unquote, last the life of this truck, I would think. So that one there's probably got, I don't know, a couple 100,000 miles on it. So, and it's just now becoming a problem. So, all right, we should be in good shape here. Okay, I'll put you guys back on time lapse here. I have to pull the caps off, get it in there, get the caps back on it, and then we'll be done messing with the drive shaft. All right, so I discovered a bit of an issue here that we're going to have to rectify. For some reason, we have the right diameter here, we have the right spline count. According to the website I ordered this off from, it was supposed to have fit this truck. It's got 1.89 there. And we've got .88 there. So our diameter is correct. Our spline count's correct. All of that's right. But for some reason, it's a universal joint, and you can see it. You can see it even when you hold them up and look at them. This one here is significantly smaller than this guy here. This has got a lot bigger caps, a lot beefier universal on the new one versus the old one. And that's fine and dandy. I'm always for bigger is better, but the problem is the caps are also bigger round. So we've got about 1.88 there, and on the older, the caps off of this one here, 1.127. So quite a bit of difference between them. So this universal is not going to work in this truck. I did some research off camera trying to figure out the difference between these two slip yokes and why the caps are different sizes, and I think I finally came to a conclusion as to why that's a thing. It's not always easy to understand, so you just got to kind of take time to think about it and get a caliper, do some measuring to figure out where everything needs to land. I'll be honest, when I first pulled this out of the box and you know, started taking some measurements and trying to figure out what was going on here, I was a bit beside myself because I thought, how in the heck am I going to do this? I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on time lapse, and we're going to get this new universal put into. First, we're going to have to knock this universal out of this new yoke, put this special one in, and then we got to put it on the drive shaft and put the drive shaft back in the truck and hopefully wrap this project up. Got all of our keepers in. Got our new spline on there like we want it to be. You guys probably see me struggling with this quite a bit because this is bent just a hair. So let me give you the history on it. When we changed this out originally, remember I mentioned earlier in the video that we've replaced the seal multiple times. One of those times when we had it apart to change the seal, we'd found a bad universal in here. And so we replaced that universal. Well, that slip yoke was off a different truck also, but this thing still had the original caps and universals in it. So GM, in their infinite wisdom back in the day, in the late 80s, early 90s, I'm not sure how far back it goes. You car guys would probably know more than me. These caps used to have a plastic ring inside there that actually held the caps, and they didn't use these metal inside and outside clips like we have nowadays. They didn't use these. They actually had a plastic cap inside there. I don't know how they got it in there. If they, you know, there was a hole in here and they injected it in there after this was put together maybe. But there was a groove in the area where the cap goes in, and there was a groove in the cap. So they must have injected like hot plastic in here to actually lock these caps into the drive shaft. That's just how they did it back in the day. I don't know why, but they did. And the only way you can get that apart, I suppose you could heat this up and melt the plastic out. We went with a little bit of heat and a press. And when we did that, it took a lot more force than I would have ever anticipated it taking to push these caps out and break that plastic. But that's what happened. I was actually surprised this drive shaft still had those in it. I've never seen that before. So I would have figured after, you know, 38 years, 37 years, somebody would have changed that out, but they were the original universals on both ends. So anyway, that's why I was struggling to get these caps in, because this is bent just ever so slightly. It's a teeny tiny amount, but it's enough that we lose our clearance to get those clips in the end of there. So, all right, let's go into the truck and put it together. Oh, you see that? You got to be real careful of that. These caps do not have the clips on them. If I put that together like that, we're going to throw those caps right out of there. I got to go find some clips. Alright. Decided to climb on out of here and push those right on there on the bench. That was a whole lot easier than trying to fight it under here. For sure. I always put the transfer case in neutral so you can spin the drive shaft around where you need it. There we go. It's getting better. Get these started. Put a jack underneath the rear wheel so I can spin it around. I like to get the impact driver on these. I like them tight. Dropping a drive shaft off whilst going down the road is never a fun thing to do. So I try to avoid that any way that I can. My plan is we'll take this for a little stroll once we get this together. And then we'll crawl back under here and have a look and see if the disaster is reoccurring. And I'm hoping it stays dry because we have literally changed everything at this point. We have changed the slip yoke, we have changed the seal again, and we've even changed the bushing. So realistically, there should be no reason why it should give us any more grief. But I like to test things before I, call it good. Definitely some lash on that dip. I think I said that earlier. Well, I don't see oil leaking out anywhere. It may not be the worst idea for a guy to just check the oil in that at some point in the very near future. It has got a lot more play in it than I would like to see. All right, there we go. Well, probably kind of hard to tell, but looks pretty dry. I don't see any oil abound here. You hear the exhaust is still cooling off. Took her for about a, 4-mile ride, something like that. And hopefully, with any luck, that is the end of this nightmare. All right, well, there you have it, guys. We took it on a drive. Doesn't look like it's leaking, so hopefully it'll continue that trend of no more leaks. I'm kind of tired of this truck marking the driveway like a dog marks fire hydrants, so enough's enough. I'm tired of the leaks. So hopefully that takes care of it. But I'll leave all the parts in the description down below for you guys that we used on this particular job to get this leak to stop. So if you guys like what we're doing here, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We'll keep making these videos as long as you guys find value in them and keep watching them. So in fact, thank you very much for watching this video. We'll catch you guys on the next one.